while. And is that you recording, Philippine?
Yes, I am recording.
All right, perfect.
Few people asked me to record.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. So yeah, I mean, this is a long time coming, right? I mean, I know many of us have had run-ins with the board. I've looked at police reports in 2014. I've read every meeting minutes. If you look at the Google Maps entry for Lisle Place, you can see that it is the worst rated management company in the Chicagoland area. So there's, and you look at Yelp, it's also 1 star. So you can see there's a lot of people that are fed up with the current management, with the board of directors. So this is really a long time coming. There are a group of us developers, part of it, Pam, Christine, a number of us have been trying to get rid of these guys for a while. And we finally found something. We finally found a way to beat them in court. Many of you may have heard of the Joe Kraus lawsuit and some of the mudslinging by the board. I don't necessarily agree with their approach, but it's something. They're doing something, so I guess that's better than nothing. But we have a different approach, and I'm going to go through the approach that we're taking, and also go through the steps we've already taken. So, bottom line is what we finally got them on is they tried to steal the 2022 election, which was supposed to take place January 25th. And basically what happened is they sent out a call for candidates letter. And according to the bylaws, they're supposed to give us 21 days to nominate people to be elected, to be on the ballot, to be on the board. Now, the letter was dated December 10th to be turned in December 31st. However, first of all, they didn't send it to, I mean, my best guess, 25, 30% of homeowners. The ones they did send it to, they were postmarked on December 29th. So 2 days before you were supposed to turn it in person at the office. As we all know, they only have 5 hours of office hours, 3 days a week. So you had to return it within a 5-hour window on Friday. And that's assuming you even got it by Friday. Most folks, I didn't get mine until January 3rd. Most folks didn't get theirs until after the 31st. One gentleman did get it, Garrett, and he actually ran it down there and got it in time. But they were supposed to give us 21 days. Number 2 is the ballot. So the ballot and according to the judge, it had several irregularities in it. So they were allowing proxy votes, and they were also allowing mail-in votes. Some of the ballots had stickers on them, some of them didn't, some were copies. The board was going door to door to try to get signatures so that then they could use that ballot to vote for themselves. So based on all these irregularities, the judge ruled in our favor that she needed to stop the election. So what happened is 11 plaintiffs, we hired attorney Kate Donnett with Donnett and Donnett, and we filed what's called a TRO, a temporary restraining order. And basically it's an injunction against the board of directors to stop the election. And Kate, who's a family friend of ours, of mine and my family's, she tried to express to me what an extraordinary measure this was, and really put it in perspective that we probably won't get it, but we have to try anyway. We think that we have a chance, but we probably won't get it because it's such an extraordinary measure. So because of all of it, and because we filed it last minute as well. So we filed it, 2 days, 3 days before the election. They got us a hearing, and they actually ruled in our favor, which is really extraordinary. It just goes to show you how emboldened they are, how emboldened they've gotten, because no one's tried to stop them. And this was just really, really an egregious attempt to steal an election and to really not allow folks to run against them, to allow another perspective, another person to manage the property. So that's the election. Here's a screenshot of the actual order. So you can see it was filed on the 25th of January at 12:09 p.m., just about 7 hours before the election. What's interesting is we filed in court on Friday before the election, and they were notified of it. Their legal team was notified of it, and they actually filed something in court. Inga filed an affidavit in this affidavit, I need to get a copy of it because I hear it's completely crazy. Like Kate said, it sounded like she was totally unhinged. Talked about getting death threats and her life was in danger and nothing to do with the election, but she was just completely unhinged by it. And then the other piece, they filed in court that the election had already taken place on the 24th. And all of the documentation that we've gotten said the election was supposed to take place on the 25th at 7 p.m. So how did the election already take place if on Monday, if it's supposed to take place on Tuesday at 7 o'clock? And so Kate brought that to the judge's attention. And it was also pretty eye-opening that, again, the egregiousness that these guys would go to steal the election. So we are going to have a new election. So Kate is currently working with the board of directors attorneys, on the grounds for this election. So what's it going to look like? And we have some demands that we've set. So we want it to be run by a third party. We don't want the board running this election. I don't know if you guys, some of you may know that Velopin ran for an election back in 2016, and they stole that election as well. Basically, they were losing, and they found a box of ballots, and these ballots happened to all be for Daiva and Inga and Laimute and Irene, and then they just went downstairs and called the election for themselves. So we don't want them to be able to run it. They've got irregularities with the ballots, obviously. They obviously didn't give us enough time to run against them. So we need to run this election with a third party. And we also can't use KSN, who is one of their attorneys that have represented them in the past, or Tressler. And Tressler's a law firm that represented them for this TRO. And they also wrote the bylaws. We also want to get access to homeowner information so we can run a campaign. That's kind of why I was asking everybody for their name and addresses and email addresses. We don't have all that information. Whatever you guys can share with us, your neighbors, so that we can get this information out to people. Velopin and I and others have made lots of phone calls. Folks just don't know what's going on. They hear what the board tells them. They hear these letters that they send, and it's one side. It's mostly false, and it's only trying to show them in a good light. So we're trying to get the truth out, the real information out. We've been doing research on this for months now, and we need folks. We need to know where to send letters, where to send emails. We don't want to harass anybody. We just want to give them the information, and then they make their own decision. But we don't have access to that information because the board hides it from us. They don't give us access to any information. We're also going to demand a post-election audit so we can see who voted for whom. What are the tallies? Last election, they wouldn't give us the final total counts of the election, even though it's in the bylaws. So a number of things again, irregularities in the previous election. In fact, the bylaws themselves, they've changed a number of times since 2006, but none of us have voted on them. So the board seems to think, or seems to make us want to think that they are the association. They are not the association. We are the association, the homeowners. We are members of the association. The board of directors, we elect, I put it in quotes because we didn't actually elect them, they stole the election. They are hired or voted in office to represent us, but they are not the association. So in order to change your bylaws, you need a 75% positive vote by all the association to change the bylaws. They've changed them a number of times without any vote whatsoever. I don't know if you've noticed, but we got this offer to purchase to privatize the condos, or basically someone purchased all the units and make them into apartment building. And if we voted on that, no, because the board doesn't want to do that because they lose control. And so again, they haven't put this vote up. So anyway, we're following rules and regs that are from November 21, but we shouldn't be following those. We should be following the rules and regs from 2006. Anyway, we're gonna try to fight that as well, or that may come up in court at a later date. So next court date is early March. So that's where we're going to hash out. We're going to try to settle before then with their attorney and that's where we'll hash out the election, what the parameters are. We're going to figure out who the 5 people we're going to represent to run against them. So we don't want more because we don't want to dilute that vote. We want to make sure that we're getting 5 folks to vote the current board out. So I'm going to stop here. Any questions about the election? I got some more material, but I just want to pause and answer any questions that anybody has about the election. I do see a couple chats. Letters of return, they had to reship.
Yeah, that was such BS. Because I even asked her, I said, well, that doesn't make sense. I said, because I even told, I said that makes no sense at all. But that was the only explanation that she would give me. Because I was going to actually go to the office because I'm new here. And this is so ridiculous. I've never heard or seen anything like this before, ever. And, you know, like I said in the chat, it's like, with the death threats that you said you're getting, you're saying people are showing up with guns. Why do you still even want to be a part of this? That's so suspect. It makes absolutely no sense at all. So, you know, it's like, no.
You nailed it.
Yeah. And they're,
who has grand dreams of being and remaining on a condo board association? Who wants it that bad?
Yeah, that's crazy.
You don't get
it makes
paid.
No sense. It's totally suspect. And it's like, and there's always some excuse, and it just doesn't make sense. It's like, why do you want to be a part of this if no one wants you there? You know, it's like
absolutely
really weird.
Yeah. So just looking at the text, they own around 30 units. So if some of you remember in 2016, they instituted a rental restriction, so no new units sold could be rented out. Meanwhile, they bought 16 units between Diva and Arena and Lamuta and Peter. And so Inga, they bought 16 units and then they rented them out. Obviously, they're not living in all the units. They rented them out, right? And Latanya, you asked, aren't the attorney's fees coming out of HOA funds? Yes, they are, because that's one of the things that they added to the bylaws. So now anybody that sues them from any homeowner, you cannot sue them individually. You sue them as the board, and they're allowed to use our HOA dues to defend themselves personally.
No, first of all, who authorized them to change the bylaws? How can they change the bylaws without authorization from the homeowners?
Well, they can't. Right?
They're not going to stand out in the court. So, but they can make any kind of law they want. But see, if you are,
well, they can't make any law they want. What they can do is they can change bylaws and then record them with the county, and then they can say these are the bylaws that you need to abide by. Now, if we challenge them in court, we will win, because in the bylaws from 2006, 75% of the homeowners need to vote affirmative to change the bylaws.
Yeah,
so
that's what we need to do.
Well, Sam, we do, right? But there's only there's only so much litigation we can do, right? Obviously, litigation is expensive. The group here, several of us here, we raised over $7,000 in less than 24 hours. We got 11 plaintiffs on board to be on this lawsuit. And again, with the knowing that they were going to get retaliated against by the board, knowing that our names were going to be on this complaint, and that we were going to be retaliated against. We already were retaliated against in the last board meeting. Diva spent the first 10 minutes slinging all of our names through the mud of how terrible we were and why we were filing this lawsuit. It had nothing to do with the TRO. It had to do with our balconies, right? So she spent the first 10, 15 minutes just slinging our names through the mud. And then she spent the other time trying to refute the letter that we had sent out, the very first letter we sent out about some of the things that they were engaged in. But yeah, so we need to focus our efforts on litigation. We do have a GoFundMe page. We can actually post this at the end. We need all the support we can get. Obviously, like I said, litigation is not cheap, and we know they're going to fight it, and they're going to fight it with our money. So the faster we get these guys out of there, the better we are, because we don't have to use our own money to defend them. Once they're out, the new board, we're not going to be going to court because no one's going to be suing us because we're not going to be doing stupid shit like the board does, right? So that's the idea. Get rid of these guys ASAP so that we don't need to be defending them with our association money.
This but it's so ridiculous that we're using HOA funds to fight people in court that are part of the HOA.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
It's so backwards. I don't understand why, you know, and it just because I just don't know, but why can't we just get them out without having to take them to
Well,
how,
trust
you
me,
know,
Latanya, trust me. So we've been trying for a while now, and you know, Dive is an attorney. They are battle tested. They've been taken to court many times. They know all the judges in the county DuPage. They've sat in front of them. So they know how to play the game. Dive is not stupid. And neither is Inga, by the way. They're crazy, but they're not stupid. So we need to also be really intelligent in how we approach it, so we're not throwing good money after bad and losing battles in court. That's why, you know, I've kind of taken a back seat to this. Velopin's been much more active than I've been, but I've taken a back seat because there's really, I felt like there's really not something that we can really stick them with until this election. And so now once they've done this, this is something I knew we could nail them on. And to be honest, Latanya, the best way to get rid of the board is to vote them out. That is the best way. And that's any judge will tell you that. They'll say, you know what, you don't like your board, vote them out. Well, we would have if they didn't fix the election. So now that we are going to have a court overseeing this election, now that we can run other people against them, now that we can campaign, this is the plan. And I got the next steps, right? The plan is to run this election, and we're going to be sending out letters and campaigning to folks and just unearthing some of the lies that they've told everybody. And I'll actually get into that right now. So a ton of info, and we're just going to touch on some of this right now. Like I said, you'll see letters coming from us in the future. Every week or so, we'll send out a new letter talking about each of these topics. So Diva loves talking about the balconies. If you guys have ever been on a board meeting, she loves talking about the balconies. Well, let me tell you about the balconies. So they installed over 100 balconies without permits. This is illegal, and she's under investigation by the IFPD what is it?
IDFPR.
Yeah, the Illinois Department of Financial Professional Regulators. So she's under investigation by them because she installed over 100 balconies without a permit. Also,
they must have installed at least 150 balconies.
150. Okay, 150 balconies. So the other thing is, so Velopin and I, we actually went and tried to get permits to go get our balconies installed. So we talked to Lisle, we talked to the village of Lisle, they sent us to County DuPage. We hired engineers, architects to come look at the current balconies, to stamp our drawings. We hired architects to make drawings for our balconies. So we've gone through this whole thing. The design of the balconies that they installed, A, is a poor design. B, you will not get approved by an inspection. And C, you will not be able to get a permit on them. And the reason is because there are two pieces. There's a frame, and then you have a picket. Well, I mean, there's two types of pieces. You have a frame, and then you have a picket assembly where all the pickets are. And they're two different pieces, and they're screwed together with sheet metal screws. This creates a rust point. Everywhere you screw these two together, it's going to rust. The other thing is these picket assemblies have a C channel on the top. So water's going to creep behind the frame into the C channel, and it's just going to sit, and it's going to rust the picket assemblies from the inside out. So these things are a terrible design. They weren't permitted, and they rammed them down our throats. And supposedly they're going to start finding everybody starting today that have not replaced their balcony. So either way, you're screwed. Either you installed a balcony that's you're not going to pass inspection and you can't get a permit on, or B, you're going to get fined by the board. So that's the spot we're in with the balconies. So of course they haven't told you that, right? So the next thing, we're also, so like I said, Velop and I have been trying to get permits through the county. We are unable to get permits. Now the county, the inspectors or the zone, not the zoning people, but the building people, the building department, they have approved Velopin and my drawings. They're like, yeah, that looks good. We've approved your drawing. We've got the architecture stamp. Everything looks good as far as your design goes. We do not use the design of theirs, but the design we use is good to go. However, when the board de-annexed from the village of Lisle, they did not think to research what is the zone that we will go into in the county of DuPage. They didn't think about that. So guess what? When you go into a new county or a new village and you're automatically zoned into R1 zoning, which stands for residential zoning. It's the most restrictive zoning. So we are a 279 unit commercial building. We are not allowed to be in R1 zoning. It's just not allowed. In fact, our giant complex is not even allowed to be in unincorporated DuPage County. We need to be within a village or a city or some other entity. We are not even allowed to be in there. And so the county's already sent letters and is going to sue the board, again, using our money to defend them. And they have already sent fines. And these fines are going to be in the tens of thousands of dollars. So when Davis said and sent these letters, oh, it's such a great thing to de-annex from Lisle. What a great idea. It was a disaster. And this is going to be something that we are going to have to repair going forward, and it's going to be expensive. So I'll pause there. Any questions about the balconies, permits, or zoning?
And Mark, see, what we need to remember is, say, because it is our complex is in R1 zoning, none of the, no permits will be issued to any homeowners for any kind of work. It's not just for balcony.
Any kind of work. If you want to redo your kitchen, if you want to redo your plumbing, if you cannot. If you want to replace your air conditioner, you cannot do it. Because it's an R1? Because we're an R1 and that we are zoned improperly. We are not a single family residence. We're a 279 unit giant commercial building.
Hi, it's Nick from Renovation Group. I have a question. Do you guys know who the contractor was that was installing balconies for Dive in the Board?
We tried to get that information, Nick. We tried our hardest, and they have, I don't know why, probably because they got some kickbacks. They were Lithuanians, we're almost sure, Eastern Europeans, but they will not share that information with anybody. So I don't have it, Velopin doesn't have it. Pam, Allison, Christine, I don't know if anybody else on the
No, they won't give it. They won't give it for a reason. I'm pretty sure it's a big reason.
So,
Thank you. Yep.
So when they came to my unit, I asked them,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Every night.
when they came to my unit, I asked them what company do they are from. They said it's Fox One. I Googled it and I couldn't find that. So it looked like, he was still lying.
Yeah, Nick, we'd love to have that. You know what? So we're actually going through a discovery process, but it's limited to the election. So unfortunately, this is not something that we can subpoena or do discovery on, just because it's not related. So Nick, I mean, the plan is this, right? So once we get a new board in there, we're going to go after these guys criminally. We're going to go, because this is why, right? I think that they really they do not want to relinquish power, because they have been doing things that are illegal. And as soon as a new board comes in, they're going to get access to bank accounts. They're going to get access to all the books, all the general ledgers for the past 9 years. They're going to get access to the reserves if there are any left. So they don't want to give this up to anybody, because I think they're hiding something.
Hey, Mark, I have a question.
Sure.
You said they bought 16 condos within the last few years. And I believe the bylaws, according to them, it says that they cannot rent it out for new buyers, right?
You're absolutely correct. Starting in
And how are they renting
2016,
it out now?
they are violating their own rules. Yeah.
See, that's
They
another
should be thrown
valid
out
point.
just for that.
Well, I mean, once again, guys, so how do you throw them out? Right? How? We got to figure out how to throw them out. The best way to throw them out is win an election. That's the best way. And that's why, this is why we're pursuing the path we are pursuing.
See
Now, once again, once we get in, once new folks get in, then we can start digging, right? Because now we have access to all the records, right? And now we can file criminal, or we're actually the DA, the state attorney's office in Illinois is already investigating them. And that's thanks to somewhat to you, Joe. I know Joe Kraus has referred the case over some of the things you guys are working on to the state's attorney's office in Illinois. So the DA is investigating these guys. It will be wonderful if we can get in there and get a whole bunch of more information that we can just ship to the DA. So then they have all kinds of more information to prosecute these guys. Because I believe that there is not only, civil matters here, I think there are also criminal matters here. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First things first, we need to win this election. We need to specify the terms of parameters around the election, and we need to win the election. So some other things, right? So poor management, right? And you guys know it's just a pain in the ass every time you talk to these people. They're just mean. They're mean and rude and dismissive and ignore you. They think they're better than you and smarter than you. And again, all you have to do is spend 5 minutes Googling them on Google Maps, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So guys, we had a special assessment through 2014. You know what that was for? That was for getting us compliant with the village of Lisle. We had to install sprinklers basically because we have a 4-story buildings, and we had to install sprinklers. Did anybody install the sprinklers? Anybody seeing sprinklers in the 4-story buildings?
No.
Exactly.
Nope.
Exactly.
Nope.
And why did we de-annex? Because we didn't want to install the sprinklers. So where's the special assessment money?
But this,
What did it get spent on?
Mark,
Let me add a little to that. It wasn't just for sprinklers. It was the alarm system. Our railings had to be 2-inch taller on all the stairways. We had no doors that were up to fire code. We had a extremely long laundry list of things that we were not compliant with. They addressed some of them and then stopped when we got the new board. So the old board was addressing them. The new board that came in completely stopped it. That's why they pushed for us to de-annex. And then we had a settlement. So this is important for everybody to know. We did have a settlement with Lisle that sued us, not over railings, but the laundry list of things that we had not complied with. And in that settlement, we gave them $86,000. If it was just over railings, we would have used that $86,000 to replace all the railings. So that's something important to keep in mind when we're informing everyone.
and
Yeah, Rick, thanks. Rick's got a ton of good information. He's also pulled the settlement, so it's public information. You can see the settlement.
No, we are going to post all this information. We in subsequent days.
We will get this information out to you, but you can see all the details of the settlement. One of the terms of the settlement was that they couldn't use the name Lisle anymore, which is now what we're called Neighbor Place, which is also causing issues. But anyway, these guys just keep stepping on their own tails. They don't know what to do next.
And Mark, can I take 1 minute, maybe 15 seconds? So
yeah, of course.
As one of the settlement agreement was to implement the safety measures. See, if you read the settlement agreement, you can see that the association has to complete that in a stipulated time. So whether they do it or not, we don't know. But see, for the same reason why we have been fighting with the village of Lisle is going to start with DuPage County as well. Mid of this month, DuPage County is going to start an inspection in our community with the sheriff's office and the fire department and all the other departments. So eventually, I think what I'm afraid is that we will end up, doing some of these projects that some of these safety measures that the village of Lisle was looking to implement. But now all that money is gone. So
Right, all the money we put for special assessment, like Rich said, to get into compliance with the village of Lisle. We did some of it. This board comes in and they stop doing any repairs, stop doing any of the things. They just start being combative with the village. Village is like, fine, get out of here, but you're gonna have to pay us $87,000. So that's why we de-annex, so that they wouldn't be on their back anymore. That's why the board wanted us to de-annex, so they wouldn't have to make the repairs that the village of Lisle was requiring them to make. Well, guess what? The county of DuPage is gonna make them make a whole bunch of repairs as well. And guess what happens then? Well, we're gonna have to pay into that more. And where did that money go? Good question. Nobody knows. And you know what? Being unincorporated is not good for housing values. Being in litigation is not good for housing values. The fact that we're not zoned properly is not gonna be good for housing values. All of these things are going to not allow people to buy a place with a mortgage. No lender is going to lend money to a buyer with all of those things that are currently in place. And guess what that means? Depressed housing values.
No wonder they're buying all the units for less money now.
Well, I
Right.
think.
So
Go ahead, Rich.
it's twofold to add on to you, Mark. It's part of the record when the lawyers for our association and the county discussed us becoming unincorporated DuPage. It was explicitly put in the paperwork that every single code violation that we had with Lisle, we still had to comply with. So even though we left Lisle, they thought that we were going to get more time. They also knew it was going to drive the property value down because we are currently listed as zone 1, the most restrictive zoning, until we have the inspection done. Yes, it's going to cost us about 50 grand for Lisle to come out, or sorry, the county to come out and do their inspection. But that is standard operating procedure. A new building gets built, it is automatically zone 1, even if it's multi-tenant. What zone 1 stands for is a single family home, which is the most restrictive. Now, that's why we can't get railings done. The board is very well aware of this because that is driving the property value down so they can acquire more. They want to go back to a apartment building. That's what they want to do and have a permanent revenue source. I got that from the horse's mouth directly from the county, and I've seen it in the paperwork. So, and I'll share that out on the Facebook page for everybody to see, Mark.
So Rich, are you saying, so for those that don't know, there was somebody that came in that wanted to buy up Lisle. They wanted to buy all of our units. And obviously below market. Well, not obviously, normally these things are done above market, but in this case it's below market. Is that part of that acquisition offer, Rich?
No, it was not. So I did a little bit more research. The offer that they gave us was actually pretty fair for the condition and what we have going on. If you were to sell your unit individually, it was about 4% under what the market value is of each unit. So it wasn't out of line, first of all. Secondly, it was a completely different organization, but the board, they want to do it themselves. They want to themselves turn around and acquire all of the units. So if they themselves have the bulk of the units, they can turn it back into a apartment complex. Now, keep in mind, if they own more than 50% of the units, they can vote themselves that everybody has to accept the offer being given. So once they get to that point, they can write whatever offer they want to.
Nah,
I think that's what they're going towards now, and they want to buy more and more units. And I don't know, they might be using the funds from the association to buy these condos.
The sad part is, give me 1 second, please. So association keep buying the units. So association is spending association's regular revenue, or the excess from regular revenue to acquire these units. Association is also buying, okay? So far, I know that association has 2 units in its books. So at the same time, every year they are increasing the assessments as well. So why do we have to park our money in real estate or on these units while and at the same time increasing the assessments? So they can, if our expenses are more, you can liquidate those units and use that money towards whatever the expenses we incur.
Yeah, no, Rich, I think you brought up a good point. So if you guys, I don't know if you guys saw the ballot, but everybody had a chance to give a little blurb about why I'm qualified, right? Well, Inga said, yeah, we're 2/3 done with our plan. I want to see the last third seen out. And now I think I see what the last third is. They want to acquire a majority of the units so that now they can put a vote in to sell the property, all the property. They can then set the price, and they can set it so low that you're going to have to unload your unit for pennies in the dollar. And that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense that this is what they're trying to do. So this is new. So this is something we, and again, for all the investors out there, I'm an investor. 79% of these units are investor owned. This is very important because you're gonna lose your unit for pennies in the dollar if we let Inga and Diva finish the third of their plan, right?
Mark,
Yeah.
my name is Kumar. I mean, I own one of the units in the complex right here, and probably for the last, I would say maybe 10 years. And I'm a builder and a developer for a living. I used to own 2 units, but I own 1 unit right now. I'm on a board. I'm on 3 different boards right now on the associations. The first thing, I think we waited so long. I think we've been sleeping, looks like, for years. You guys are absolutely right. We let them do whatever they want. And the first thing is, did they amend the bylaws without 75% voting? Question number 1.
Oh, 100%. 5 or 6 times.
Yes, they did.
That's number 1. That's illegal according to the Illinois State Condominium Act. That is illegal.
Absolutely.
And number 2,
yes.
And number 2, if KSN is representing the association and the board, the current board of directors, the step number 1, we probably may have to get a court order just to stop that, because I mean, not only the current board using the association funds to protect themselves against these lawsuits. Number 2, and number 3, I think everything what happened was not right. I mean, we can clearly see that. I think we have to provide all this evidence to the court.
100% agree, Kamal, right? Yeah, but again, like I said, we have a limited number of funds and we can only do certain things in court, right? So I mean, there are so many things we could bring up in court. But again, we're using, not only do we have to come up with funds on our own to be the plaintiff, but we also have to pay as an association to defend them against our complaint, right? So we're paying twice.
No, actually, I mean, we can get a court order for them not to touch any of the funds, because they have done an amendment to the bylaws without a 75%. If we can get a court order, I mean, against that, I think we should be able to get a decision from the judge that they are not even eligible to be on the board, or at least they can't even touch we can ask for a third party property management company who can monitor this with a court order, and who can conduct these elections moving forward. Absolutely.
So we've gone this route already, where we've tried to restrict them from being able to use our funds to defend themselves. According to our bylaws, they have immunity from defending themselves in suits. Now, it is a gray area, and we'd have to get creative to sue them directly. We'd have to prove that they have done an illegal act and they have failed at their fiduciary duties. Those 2 things are very hard to prove, especially because we cannot get any of the court records. Now, we're doing a little bit of a circle here, but going back to what Mark initially said, if we can win 3 of the 5 seats of the board, we automatically can get a hold of all of our financial records. Once we get a hold of those financial records, we can prove the illegal things they've done. But until we can do that, unfortunately, the law is not on our side at this point for how we can go about suing them and pursuing things. Now, once we do get in that position, we have a better chance of winning. Now, if we do not win those 3 seats, it's not saying all hope is lost. We can still sue them, but as Mark just indicated, we will be spending a lot of our own funds as well as the association funds until we get it resolved. And even if we do win, the money is already going to be spent on their defense. There's no way we're going to recoup it. They're going to turn around and say, LLC, they'll shut the LLC done. There's no way we're going to recoup those monies that they spent again on their own defense. It is a bit of a rabbit hole. It is unfortunate the law's not on our side, but we have to play the hand that we're dealt. We need all of our efforts not focused on the court battles now. We won the court battle that we could win, which was an injunction on the election. Mark put a great attorney on this for us, Kate. She got it done for us. Now we need to step up, win the election. We need 3 of the 5 seats. So hopefully that answered where you were going with.
I agree with you, Rich, on that. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what we got right now. So right now we, you know, again, we need legal funds. So if anybody wants, there's a link to donate. Like I said, we raised $7,000 in about 24 hours. We're going to be going back to court. We obviously have to go to court to figure out how we're going to run the next election. We're going to have to pay, well, hopefully out of the association money, but figure out who pays for who administers that next election. So we need everyone's support. You know, please tell your neighbors. You guys now have a piece of the information. Like I said, we're going to be sending out letters weekly between now and the election. So we'll dig deep and do a deep dive on all these topics. So please tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell everybody you know at Lisle Place what's going on. Rich, thank you for pointing out what I think their end planet is. To buy enough units so that we end up having to offload ours for pennies in the dollar.
It is definitely possible, Mark, because I mean, I own one of the other properties in Naperville that's recently been acquired. I mean, pretty much approved by the board, but they needed 75% to sell the property. I think one of the investment groups are picking up that property for $21 million approximately. Yep. So that's exactly what their strategy is. So they can control the whole property and probably maybe try to get some finder's fee or whatever it is. I don't know.
well, Inga's a real estate agent. So all these units that she's bought and sold, she's been getting commissions on.
Okay, see, that's a conflict of interest.
Right, and if they themselves sell to themselves as a corporation, they can turn it into a rental property, which is what an investor is going to do anyways. And that investor, when they make it a rental property, they're getting continual revenue. Adding on to what Mark just asked everybody on the call, everybody here either lives on the property or has somebody within their unit. So we have communication to physical bodies in every building. If we asked everybody to spend 15 minutes in their building, going door to door, getting information of who owns the unit, get their contact information. We need an email, phone number, and mailing address. If you can ask your tenants to do it for us, ask their friends in the buildings. They all know each other. If you're an owner, go knock on every door, get those people's information. We can compile a very good, accurate list because the association's not giving it to us. And we have a chance of being successful. And even if you're not an investor, I myself am not an investor. I actually don't have a tenant in my unit. Even if you're an owner of the unit, this is still an investment of yours. You know, if you have to sell your unit for half of what you bought it for, or 3/4 of what you bought it for, it's still going to affect you financially. So we all have an easy task in front of us, but we have to put the effort in.
Rich, I mean, you're 100% right. That can be retrieved from the county, every owner's information. I mean, that's right there. Why do we have to go door to door?
That's what we have, Kumar. But for most of the owners, they're not correct.
Yeah.
Right. And if we can get phone numbers,
Hey, can you
if
mute,
we can get
Ca-
phone
can you mute
numbers,
Kathy? Relevant, can you mute Kathy
Dale.
and Sam maybe, because we're getting some background noise, Sam and Kathy. I can't mute him.
Yeah, some people are talking in the
You're the
background.
host,
Yep.
Relevant. Thank you.
1 second.
Sorry, Rich, go ahead.
So what I was saying is, yes, we can get the information.
I'm sorry. Who was speaking?
Rich, you just muted Rich too. You muted everybody. You guys gotta come off mute now if you want to speak. Thanks. Rich.
I'm good.
There
You
go.
can unmute and
If you have, we have the information from the county. I don't know where I lost you, so I'm just going to repeat, apologize. So the information we have from the county, some of it's not correct. If it has changed ownership, if somebody hasn't updated information since the last county bill has been going, or somebody could have moved and their mortgage companies who's actually been paying the assessment, not the assessment, but the taxes, then we have bad information. But it's also imperative because we're only sending a piece of mail that some people don't read their mail. I'm going to be honest. I read my mail about every 3 weeks. So if we can get phone numbers and emails, it gives us 3 different ways to get a hold of these other owners. I have talked to people on the property in the last 2 days that had absolutely no idea that some of this stuff was going on. They wholeheartedly believed that some of us called the county and told the county that our railings are bad, and that's the only reason we had to change them. I was actually told that by an owner today. So we got to get a hold of these people. They're not getting the email or the US mail. They're not being on these board meetings. We really got to get out in front of this.
Wow.
So Velopin has been working tirelessly on that. He's been going to like every address and been verified and getting phone numbers. Velopin and I have been calling these people, getting their current email addresses, getting their unit. So please send that information to savelisleplace@gmail.com. Any and all contact information you have of you and any other residents in your building, any other homeowners that you know of, any other investors that you know of. We need people. We need people behind this to be able to be successful, to vote them out essentially.
This is Nick from
Yeah, our goal is
Renovation Group.
150 people.
Okay, I'm sorry if I missed this, but could somebody address how many people typically have voted in these past elections and how many votes do you calculate that you need to carry it?
I can tell you, I myself, after every single election, have sent certified letters. I've asked at the actual election what the count vote was, and they will not provide that. They will not give you that answer. They bluntly say it's none of your business. We won. That's all that matters. That was an exact quote. I have it on video even. That being said, I also tried to go to court then at that. So I can't answer that question. Nobody can answer that question of what has been historically. But if we're going to be defensive, because it's only, according to our bylaws, it's only a majority of who voted. So if only 30 people vote, if 16 vote for them, they win. So we need to get everybody in the community. I have set the goal of 150 people. If we know we have 150 votes, we know we secured the win, no matter what they do.
Yeah, and the other thing that they did in the last election, so Velopin, for example, owns a number of units. They only sent him one ballot. He should be getting a ballot for each one of his units. He should get 5 votes per unit. And so they weren't allowing folks to do that. So this is, again, these are all relevant points of why we need a third party to administer the elections, and we need them to create the ballot. So Latanya, elections are supposed to be every year. Like I own 10 other properties in the area, and they're all different associations. This is the only one I have a headache with. And it's every year. Every year, I just got one from Wheaton. I've got a place at Drake Terrace in Wheaton. I just got the call for candidates, and we've got a month to submit candidates. It's a normal election. So it should have happened every year, but they haven't had one for 6 years. The last election was in 2016.
And I will tell you, and I didn't remember until I was going through my notes because I keep a whole file, unfortunately, with this godforsaken place. But in 2016, I asked for a proxy and they told me I couldn't vote because I had an open balance on my account. Another reason they're trying to give us fines and stuff, because if you have a balance, according to them, I couldn't vote, which obviously I went to the meeting, had to argue with them about it. So keep that in mind
So
too.
everybody, I wanna be respectful of everyone's time. We've been on for an hour. This is not the last call we're gonna hold. We are gonna continue to get names and numbers to get more and more folks involved. We're gonna continue to send letters. We've got banners planned. We've got folks that are letting us put these banners in their yards. So look for campaign material. Take down this GoFundMe link. Please contribute to the legal fund. Please tell your neighbors. Please tell everybody you know about this. You know, I would use Rich's message because that is their end goal. Now that Rich, you've told me that is their end goal. Now it all makes sense. Like, why do they want to be on a condo board so bad? That's why. They want to be able to pick up these properties. And Rich, you say you load your property at 50%, 75%. Who says they can't do it at 10% of value?
Can you reiterate that one more time, Rick?
Yeah, can you repeat that one more time? What their end goal is?
Their end goal. So again, if you recall, there was a buyer, a bid to buy the entire complex. So turn all the condos into one single giant apartment building. To do that, you got to go to every owner and purchase their property from them. And so they're going to come in with a bid of, let's call it $30 million. But so 75% of the homeowners have to agree to that number. If they end up acquiring 75% of the units, they are able to make that call with any number they want. If they put a number of $10, we want to acquire the entire building for $10. You guys okay with it? No, we're not okay with it. Well, we got 75% of the votes. What are you going to do about it? You just lost your property for $10. That's their end goal, to turn this thing into one big apartment complex and buy all the units for pennies on the dollar. That is their end goal. And it makes 100% sense.
See,
this is why they want to be on this board so badly. And this is why they solely try to steal an election. This is why.
And Mark,
I have a question over here.
Sure, what's up?
I have a question over here. So if we get any numbers from anyone, who do we send it to?
Send them
Or
to
where do we-
savelyleplace@gmail.com.
Got
It's
it.
under scrutiny.
Got it.
Send all contact information. We're gonna have the website up soon. We're gonna have all this information posted. Send people to the links you see on the screen, the GoFundMe, savelyleplace.com and savelyleplace@gmail.com. Investors, now I've got some really serious talking points for investors, because a lot of investors, I live in California, I don't really want to deal with all this bullshit anyway, right? Nobody does. I especially don't. I don't live there. I don't want to have to deal with all this. There's a whole bunch of people in my spot. I also don't want to lose $150,000 because that's what my place is worth. So for investors, this is a very, very important talking point. And 80% of the folks that own at Lisle Place are not owner occupied. So this is a really important talking point.
And see, what we need to keep in mind is none of the properties that they bought went through MLS. All these are happening behind the scene. Okay, so see, they are targeting desperate people who wants to get out.
Yeah, guys, it's a playbook, right? They're making it miserable for us so that we're just like, oh, fuck it. I want to get out of this. And then people call them and say, hey, listen, I want to get rid of my unit. You got any idea? Oh, sure, no problem. I'll buy it off you. They're doing this on purpose. Go ahead.
Yep. Two things to add to that is, one, if you notice, we had to call the office and tell them we wanted to sell. Why? By them doing that, they get first chance to purchase. So that's in our rules now. That's actually part of our right. That's in the rules now, is the association has to be informed that you're selling it, and they have to have a key to the unit, and it has to go on by them. That being said, in addition, the offer that we were given to purchase my unit would have gotten $146,000. That's what I would have got for my unit. Market value for my unit is around 151. So they were adamant about not taking that offer. And if you notice, they really didn't want to tell us about it. So that being said, it's obvious what their game plan is.
Rick,
I would have jumped all over it at 146.
But they didn't even give us a chance to vote.
Correct.
Why not? Well, I would have voted you. asked if I could have got 146 for my unit and then get rid of this misery, of course I would have sold it.
Exactly. They did not allow us to vote. They wouldn't allow us to talk on that call, which also is illegal. We had a legit offer. I don't have the paperwork with me in front of me, but I called and literally asked the people that gave us the offer, all the details, and it matched the numbers that they said, but they were very quick to dismiss it. So
They said it was
that being said,
125.
why were they so?
Another question. So you got an offer for your unit,
That would have been for a one bedroom unit.
and
There is a question.
Pardon me?
I have a question over here. So you got an offer for your unit, and association turned it down?
No, so there was an
No.
offer, a bid
So
to
let me
buy
clarify.
all the building, all the units. There was an offer, a third party offer. The board did not know about this. They're not part of it. There was a third party
okay,
offer
okay,
to
got
come
it,
in
got
and
it,
buy
got
everybody's unit, and everyone was going to get close to fair market value. And there was a board meeting about it, and like Rich said, Diva was very coy, like, well, we don't really want to do this, and didn't really talk much about it, and said, well, if you guys want to get together, or you need 75% of the votes. No, that's not how it works. You are supposed to submit it, like create an electronic ballot system so we can now vote. And if we want to accept the offer, they didn't
I
want.
would have.
They
I
didn't
would
want
have
this.
done that.
What's that?
I would have accepted.
Right. I know a lot of people would, but they don't want that because now we know what they want to be the ones to buy the complex. They don't want some third party to swoop in and take it from them. They want to buy it.
Oh, it all makes sense.
They
And
changed
they're
the
going to
offer
buy
to
it for pennies
125
on the
though.
dollar. Pennies on the dollar, they're going to buy it.
So the one that keeps saying 125, I think it's Christina. The 125 was for a one bedroom. The two bedroom is what I have. That's where it came out at 146.
No, in our
No,
last
it
meeting.
was no matter how many bedrooms.
No,
it
it
was
didn't
125
matter.
flat.
It was a blended number, but
That's-
but regardless,
Right. It
we
was-
now know why they
that's
didn't
not-
want it.
Right. So everybody's clear, just in case we get another offer, it's not ends up being a blended number because not a two bedroom's not going to get the same offer as a one, and a three bedroom's not going to get the same as a one. You get it based on, and there's a number. If you read through our bylaws, the percentage of property you own. So there is a percentage.
That's
So
right.
if we got a $10 million offer, they would take that and divide it up by how many percentages are within, and you would get your percentage. So a two bedroom is going to get more than a one.
Yeah.
That's how
Right.
it just works.
It's irrelevant because it's not going to happen because they won't let us vote on it.
Right.
And it won't happen. So, all right, folks,
Right.
we'll call it a day for now. We will be having another one of these and look for our mailers. And like I said, once again, please send contact info and contributions to the data you see on the screen here. Appreciate everyone coming on. Next time, let's have double the number. Invite a friend next time.
I have
Let's
a
get
question
twice the amount of people.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All
I
right,
have a
everybody.
question now.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What's your question?
Okay, have they issued new parking permits to the owners and the tenants for the year 2022?
So the way you get a parking permit, you have to, it's by tenant. So every time a tenant, or if you have a tenant, if you're homeowner, you do it yourself. For tenant, you got to send Lisle Place at Comcast.net. You got to send the lease over. You got to send their car insurance. You got to send renter's insurance. They make it really, really complicated. You send all this stuff
No,
over.
they used to send emails warning us about the permit, and they also give a time limit. You have to do everything before January 31st or first week or something like that. This year, they're silent. I haven't seen any emails requesting us to provide all the documents to get a new car stickers.
Yeah, you don't need to renew it every year now. So it is going to continue.
It
not a
doesn't
yearly
matter
thing.
if you have your car sticker on or not. If Inga has a problem, she'll put you on the tow list for that night.
That's very
That's how
true.
that works.
My truck got towed for no reason before they passed that
And
truck
1
thing.
inch of snow, Lyle just put out a bulletin, 1 inch of snow, all the cars gotta be off the street. And there's very many empty spots in that parking lot over there and they won't let them park on it. It's terrible.
It is terrible.
Yeah.
Where is the rule that you get stickers only once every 2 years? Because they've been giving me a hard time for the past 5 years. Every year I was trying to get a new sticker. Every year, oh, you have to commit a new lease.
If they don't like you, you have to get a new sticker. If they like you, they'll let you slide.
It's another way for them to get you to sell your place and leave.
Yep. They just want to make it hard on you. And it doesn't matter if you have a sticker or not, you'll still get towed if you give them a problem.
Right.
Yep, that's right.
Green Mean Towing will validate that because they informed us that Lisle Place was their biggest client.
Is there any rules that you have to get stickers only once every 2 years? I haven't seen that.
No, they're not supposed to expire. They're not supposed to be yearly. Like
That's
I had
a good
lieutenants,
question.
like I had lieutenants come in September, and it's now January. They don't need to get new stickers. They shouldn't expire. But like Pam or Christine said, if they don't like you or if they want to retaliate against you, they'll make up whatever rules they want. But
See,
you
what
should not have to renew them every year. You should not have to do that.
make sure you have all this communicated. You ask them if they're not responding, that's your problem, that's their problem.
Yeah, I'm going to send an email to them asking them whether I need to renew, whether they should give me a new sticker or not, and then let's see what they say.
Just a note to that, Inga is not responding real well to emails lately. So
Well,
you
it's
might
not
be-
Inga, it's Renata, but
Yeah,
they're not
Renata,
responding.
they putting things on the back burner a little bit.
Yeah, they're probably strategizing what their next step is now that they know that a big contingent of folks has caught on to them. So they're trying to figure out what their next step is, what their plan is. But that was so informative from Rich because now everything makes sense. Before I had no idea why they wanted to be on the board so bad. And now
I heard that they wanted to turn this entire place back into apartments a while ago. I heard
yeah,
that.
but that they wanted to buy it. They wanted to be able to put the offer.
Yeah, they want to be in control. They want to own everything, and then they'll be the property management company and own everything, basically. Yeah, I heard that. I didn't.
Right.
Guess I didn't think of it like that.
Well, all right, folks, I'm going to jump off. Folks are welcome to stay on and answer questions to help. So, because some of us have been dealing with this a lot longer than others. So we're here to help you guys if you guys need help with any issues you're having with the board.
No.
And finally, before everybody's leaving, if you have balconies remaining to be done, submit an application so that at least in papers you are and you're trying to do what they're asking you to do. We can help you with the design, architect, and also the contractor to replace the balconies. So just to send us an email.
I've got an L-shaped balcony. Velopin's got a U-shaped balcony. So we've got drawings for you if you need a drawing. You can use our drawings. They've already been approved by the county. All right, folks, thanks so much for your time. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Really appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you.